Welcome everyone, this is Alpha X, and we got a series today. It's Heromarine versus REYNOR. This is a game one, of course, from the ESL Open Cup Grand Finals. Without further ado, in the upper left, in the red, he is representing Mouse Esports. Give it up for Heromarine. And his opponent in the bottom right, in the blue, for Clash, he is REYNOR. Okay, for those of you watching live, what this means is we're just, this is a live recording, so we're starting it from scratch, because that's something we can do when Beo makes mistakes. So, we're going to give it 5 seconds of blank time, so the channel editor can clip things together, and then we will go from there. Hello everyone, welcome. This is Alpha X, and we have a series for you today. It is REYNOR versus Heromarine from the ESL Open Cup number 57 Grand Finals. Actually, no, it's not. Never mind. We're going to do this once more. This is where you get to see things live and mistakes get made, because I believe it was 56. No, was it 50? Was it actually 57? Did I pause things for no reason? I did pause things for no reason. Most excellent. But yeah, we're going to do it again. It's fine. 5 seconds. Hello everyone, my name is BeoMulf, and this is Alpha X. We got a good one for you today. It's Heromarine versus REYNOR, the Grand Finals from the European ESL Open Cup number 57 here. Of course, we're in Lightshade game number 1. And spawning in the upper left, in the red, he is representing Mouse Esports. Give it up for Heromarine. And his opponent in the bottom right, in the blue, the Italian Stallion for Clash Esports. He is REYNOR. And of course, REYNOR, Heromarine have had wonderful runs through the ESL Open Cup thus far. Of course, you know, people call this the Big Game Weekly, and that is for a reason. As Heromarine has won more of these events than pretty much anyone else. REYNOR's up there. REYNOR, I want to say, has 5 or 6 victories, but Heromarine is in the double digits. And just every week, Heromarine goes and he collects his $200 and he moves on. So we're going to have to see exactly whether Heromarine is able to make use of that it factor, that X factor that he seems to have with this tournament in particular, or whether REYNOR will be able to find himself the victor in this final series of the ESL Open Cup number 57. It looks like we have a Reaper expand coming from Heromarine in game number 1, so nothing crazy, nothing zany. We're not going to see some sort of you know, Marine first into a reactor really quickly to get your Marines out a little bit faster, to get Hellions out a little bit faster. No, it's going to be a Reaper expand, and we'll see a 1-1-1 behind that. So, nil noe sub soli, as the Romans would say. Nothing new under the sun in this game number 1. And Heromarine, he's just going to go on and play his standard, extremely powerful TVZ style. That's a style that has been honed by laddering against the players like REYNOR and like Cyril over the past, you know, however long that they've been going, over the last couple years. And it's kind of funny, actually. You kind of look at things. There are not a ton. I mean, if you look at the ranks, okay, yeah. Dark, very good. Rogue, very good. And they can absolutely win championships, but it feels like, you know, you after kind of you get by there, there's not a ton of Zerg talent in Korea. So it really does feel like this crucible of I guess you got Solar and then maybe Armani is your number 4, but it feels like this crucible of TVZ ability, and I mean Clem is a great example of this, is something that is found in Europe. It's not necessarily found in Korea what it once was, and yes, Is Korean Terran still the fourth race? Absolutely, because the Koreans play Terran a whole lot differently than any other region does. But it does feel like TVZ is the Europe is the region of TVZ for the top players, just because again they have to play against Cyril and Reynor so much, and they have to deal with the innovation that Reynor does provide, because he absolutely does that. I mean, his lurker style has taken the world by storm, and it has really changed the way this matchup happens. It used to be, there were times when it was just Muta Lingbane into Lingbane Corruptor Muta, or Lingbane Ultra Muta, and you just try to do what you can. You don't leave creep, and you kill the Terran army eventually, and you trade well enough, or you trade less efficiently enough, and your run-bys deny bases, and that's how you try to win the game. But with these new styles that Reynor has shown us, it gives a lot more ability for agency in these games. You can run by with more because the lurkers just hold the fort. You can be aggressive with them once you get lurker burrow speed, and it really made the matchup a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more open to both players having things that they can do in different stages of the game instead of just the Zerg defending, and doing it in a really cool way. Don't get me wrong. I love Muta Lingbane versus Vio. It's such a dynamic matchup. But this new Hydra Lurker, Viper, Lingbane Lurker, whatever you want to call it, this new style that we've seen Reynor really show over the last 9 months, last year, really allows for Zergs to have significant aggressive options that are not just punishing over an extension by the Terran. So nice move by this Viking. It will knock off one Overlord. The Queens don't really have enough energy to transfuse, so the Overlord will go down. And that's going to put Reynor's supply block for just a little bit of time, but he actually a decent amount of time. No, never mind. But he does have Overlords on the way. And we're going to be fine, but look at this. Heromarine going for a style that's been a little bit more popular over the last several weeks. It's something that you've seen Beyond experimenting with, something that you've seen Innovation experimenting with. And yes, it is a relatively anachronistic build. It's something that we saw a lot of with in IEM Katowice last year, but it's something that really fell out of the meta not too shortly after that. So now we're gonna have to see exactly what Reynor can do to defend this. As we will, oh my goodness, Heromarine. So he saw the grenade bounce the Queen onto the other side of the Hellions. So the Hellions body blocked the Queen out of being able to run away and get protected. So the Hellions were able to kill off the Queen. And anytime Hellions and Reapers are able to kill a Queen, that is a wonderful trade. As once again, we do have, well, Hellions coming out 3x3, and there's an armory on the way. This is going to be an incredibly powerful Hellbat, Blue Flame Hellbat timing here. Now, this Viking just continues to get good work done here. So if the Viking can supply block Reynor right when this push is coming in, that's going to be a really nice move. Granted, I mean, it's not. If we look at the supply, a gap that is available to Reynor here, he should be fine from a supply perspective. The question was whether he can defend against the incoming 15 Blue Flame Hellions. And it's going to be difficult for him. All he has is Lingbane, and yes, there are a couple Queens, and yes, some of these Hellions are going down, but there's Blue Flame, and okay, that's going to make it a whole lot easier. The two Banelings will make wonderful connections, and we will see a couple of these Hellions die immediately. So already, well, Heromarine not exactly getting what he wants, but this is the play. He's now going to go drop on it into the main base. 4 workers will go down. 2 workers going down earlier. If he can get like 8 to 10, he's going to be pretty happy. So they're going to see 5 going down, but wonderful surrounds. And Reynor is handling this so well. He's handling... Oh, is he going to get the medevac? No, Heromarine. Okay, the medevac will be alive, but just barely here. And are we going to see the Queens rotate? We will not. So Heromarine will be able to get that medevac away, and that is so big. He has committed so much to this early game. He's got nothing out of it yet. He's going to face check a bunch of Queens, but they're Queens. They really don't take extra. They don't take extra damage from Blue Flame. They don't take a lot of damage from Hellions at all. So yes, there are a lot of Hellions here, but what's it supposed to do? I mean, yeah, Zerglings are a problem. Banelings are, well, the Zerglings, I guess, in danger, but Banelings, there is Baneling speed on the map by now. And we see Reynor going for a Baneling drop, trying to see whether he can maybe drop some Banelings on top of the heads of his opponent. But I like this Hellbat drop here. It's going to take a couple Banelings to clear this off, so it will be able to do some damage to this 4th base. And Hellbats actually do significant damage, relatively significant damage. Certainly far more than Hellions do, and certainly more than just they're useful outside of just being used because they can kill light units pretty well. But now Hellions are going to look to go in, but there's going to be nice around here. Yeah, these Hellions are not going to get a ton done. They're going to kill some Zerglings maybe, but that's actually yeah, the Zerglings will instead kill them. But look at this, we have the rest of the Hellions on the fourth base, or fifth base, excuse me. We'll get targeted down, as will this Queen, and we are starting to see Heromarine get something done with this Ling Bait. And the other interesting thing is, what is REYNOR aware of?
Our drones are under attack.
Okay, so I think he's aware that this is bio, but he would not know that from the composition that Heromarine has been going for in this game. He has shown nothing but mechanical units. He has shown Hellions, he has shown Hellbats, now he's going to show some Widow Mines. But behind this, of course, 2-2 bio is on the way. And there we go. REYNOR has the similar timing, but he's going to go into Hydroling Bane behind this, which I like. He's been under so much tremendous pressure this game, and granted, he hasn't lost I guess he has lost 21 workers over this game, but it's not in bursts. It's 5 workers here, 6 workers there, 3 workers somewhere else, and that is not the game-ending damage. Oh, look at the Queen's in position here. Oh no, that Widow Mine drop will get absolutely nothing. Really great positioning there from the Italian Stallion. Now we're going to Banelings run on in, but it is only +1 Banelings, so it's only, well, it's only going to do damage to the SCVs. It will not kill them off. Alright, so another Widow Mine drop coming on in, but it's going to get, what, 3 more workers. And it looks like I got a couple Hydras, though. That's always rather nice. Or not. Anyway, so now we do have the army of Heromarines moving in on the left-hand side. And this is a as yet undefended base. Yes, there is creep in front of it, but not creep on top of it. And we're going to see Heromarine stem on top of this. Do what he can to kill this off. But now we have the army of REYNOR is here. And that was not a cancel. That was a kill. A little bit burstier damage than REYNOR expected. And that meant that he lost the base. So, I mean, he's on 5 bases. He's in a decent spot. But you never want to lose 300 minerals for free when you could get 225 of it back. So, REYNOR not exactly getting what he wants, but he's still in this game. And now we have Lurkers on the way. We should see Hive get on the way. Oh, never mind. Sorry. Hive is done. Lurker Den on the way here. 2-2 ground attacks. 2-2 melee attacks. Well, 2-2 melee is on the way. And, oh no, Heromarine going to find it again. And once again, it's not canceled. Oh, no, REYNOR. That is minus 600 resources that you don't want to spend. But, hey, nice splits there on the Queens. As Heromarine, he's just going to dance on the edge of creep. It's going to make it difficult for his opponent to attack on in. But on the flip side, we have a drop on the right-hand side, excuse me. But now, Heromarine, he's too savvy, or REYNOR is too savvy. He understands that that is the kind of game that this is playing. You never keep your army as one army. Not Mutiling Bane against Bio, because you know your opponent is going to have a drop. Is going to have 2 drops. Is going to have a triple drop somewhere else on the map. So you put one army far away from where the main army is pushing, and you get a free medevac. Well, something like that. There we go. Medevac will get targeted down. Nice play there from REYNOR, and that means he can now actually go and bring his army to the fore. But he will lose a Queen in the meantime, and that is a solid part of his defensive force that is not there. And it should be remembered, Lurkers are not done. They are on the way, but they are not done. They do not have Lurker upgrades yet. +1 is on the way, but it is also not done. And more importantly, we do not have burrow speed done or even started here for REYNOR. So yes, Lurkers are done. Yes, they will have range pretty quickly, but you want that burrow speed to make sure you can just get on top of everything like REYNOR is attempting here, but he's going to get on top of everything anyways. We will see that one tank will survive, and look at this stutter step here from Heromarine. He's going to take such an incredible fight, and yes, the tank finally does go down, but the trades for Heromarine are the important thing. As he's up 4,000 resources, he has 5 bases. He has 3-3 on the way. He's in a wonderful position, as now he's going to stim on top of these Lurkers. The scan will reveal them, but it's not going to be enough. Not quite. The Lurkers will be forced back, and REYNOR, he is getting pushed back here in this game number 1. Really well played from Heromarine thus far, as he tries and tries and tries to shove in before the Lurker timing is really there. And you might say, Beo, the Lurkers are there. What are you talking about? This is the Lurker timing. Not quite. We do not have Lurker upgrades yet. We do have range, which makes things a little bit more difficult, but we do not have +1 ranged yet. And we do not have Lurker burrow speed. Lurker burrow speed and range together is the set of upgrades that really makes Lurkers powerful. Alright, another tank will go down. Marines are going to stem on forward, and they're just going to kill off these lurkers. Again, they are +0 lurkers. They do damage, but not in the insane amounts that you are used to. But of course, there's a Nidus coming on up in the main base. Nothing in it, though. That is the issue. Nothing in the Nidus. Everything is dealt with the attack on the front, or defending the attack on the front here. More and more stuff does go on, and the third base will go down. Nidus is done, but again, there's nothing in there. So the third base of REYNOR will go down as well. And now REYNOR, again, he is not in a terrible economic position. He still has 5 bases. But look, bottom left, bottom center, it's not mining. So fundamentally, he's 5 of 8. He is mining off of 2.5 bases here in this game. And yeah, he's going to keep pushing on forward. And of course, Vipers are here. That does mean these tanks, their time in this game is a little bit slow. Or, excuse me, is a little bit limited. But at the end of the day, Heromarine has more bases than REYNOR does. He has good tech. He has a lot of tanks as he is producing. I'm surprised we don't see 2 tanks at a time at the moment because, of course, well, he does have the 2 factories. But there we go. The lurkers burrowing up here will make life a little bit more difficult, but you got to remember, 1-3 was canceled. No +1 ranged attack. No +3 ground. No +3 armor here for REYNOR. His army is going to be a good bit squishier than he would expect it to be at this point in the game. That being said, the lurkers are already fairly tanky units. It's something that you'd have to worry about. And now we have a run by coming in here from REYNOR as he looks to dislodge Heromarine from his side of the map. But Heromarine says, okay, well, you know what? If you're going to do that, fine. Let's Doom drop into the main base. And that is 7 tanks here in the main base. This is not a position that REYNOR can break. I mean, sure, you can maybe get some Vipers coming on in, but it's going to be a difficult move indeed, as the Marines are sitting here on top of where the Vipers want to go on in. So the Marines doing a great job zoning out. We do see a blinding cloud, though, but still, there are 2 tanks that are unaffected. And now the lurkers are going to go in. They're going to burrow. Everything's going to get cleaned up. Great cleanup there from REYNOR, but at the end of the day, he is still down 50 total supply. Now his army is going to find a position on the right-hand side. Heromarine is putting the screws to REYNOR here in this game. Number 1, Heromarine. He has 5 bases. REYNOR only has 4. Heromarine has 3. REYNOR does not. We do even see building armor coming on up here as Heromarine just rounding out his composition, doing what he can to make sure that he is not susceptible to the counterattacks that REYNOR is so known for. And this, REYNOR's going to attempt to retake this base. It will be unsuccessful. There's a drop right there that he did not see. But in part, this is just one of those games. REYNOR's doing a good job of fighting back into this. Don't get me wrong. He's doing a good job of fighting back into it. But you got to remember, part of that is the fact that it is just really hard to kill lurkers. And despite the fact that REYNOR is not dying, and he is maybe going to be able to reestablish the space once he moves his lurkers, the army and the economy and everything of Heromarine's army here means that he can afford to take these marginally less efficient trades. But if we look at the trades over the course of the game, REYNOR has lost 10,000 more resources than his opponent. Sorry, 11,000 more resources than his opponent, and that's always a little bit scary. Now, of course, lurkers are out. There's static defense. It's going to be difficult to break these remaining bases. So the lurkers gonna move on in once again, but these tanks are just firing away, and yes, the lurkers will go. Yes, the Vipers will pluck some of them off, but well, when you're trading lurkers for tanks, and the Terran has 7 bases or 6 bases, and the Zerg has functionally 4. I mean, this base is not mining yet. These trades are worthwhile. These trades are acceptable, as we do see more and more barracks getting added on the way, as well as a Ghost Academy. But there is a Nidus coming on up in the main base. And there is room for a bunch of lurkers to move on into this Nidus. Camp up the Terran production. But there we go. The tanks are here, which means 2 lurkers do get out. But we're going to see the tanks siege on up. Actually, they're not even going to siege up. They're just going to A-move this. And there we go. Lurkers go down. No damage done. And now here we're going to move on into this 4th base with this erstwhile 3rd base. Once again of REYNOR here. And there's not a whole lot to defend it. Yes, there are some nice blinding clouds on top of these tanks. But all Heromarine is looking to do is to fight on the edge of the lurker attacks, which is easier said than done, and he will be forced back here. But the supply really is the name of the story. The supply is telling the story in this game as, yes, REYNOR's doing a good job of fighting back. REYNOR is making a game of this, in a game that realistically he should not be making a game of. It's very impressive, but he's still down 50 supply. He's still down 11,000 odd resources lost. 12,000 at this point. Every time we look, it's getting worse for the man that has a worse economy. Alright, once again, we do have the army of Raynors going to move on forward here. Nice blinding clouds on top of the tanks. The rest of the tanks will be just killed off here. And look at those transfusions. The lurkers will stay alive. And this is actually a really nice cleanup here for Reynor once again. But you got to remember there's a drop on one of the few mining bases of Reynor left. The other one is still alive, but it's 13 out of 8. There's not a economic option really here for Reynor at the end of the game, as he's 13 out of 8. These mineral patches each have about 500 resources left, so there's a grand total of 2,000 minerals left on this base, should he be allowed to mine out everything. And now we do have the lurkers. They are here. They are sieged up once again, but if I worry that the army of Reynor is just a little bit too powerful, as the splits of these Marines are damn good. The lurkers, they're going to be forced to retreat, but retreat to where? There's nothing left for Reynor to defend. Not really the base. It is going to go down the tanks. They're in a wonderful sieged up position here, and they're just going to keep killing this off. Once again, the economy of Reynor, it is in the dumpster. These blinding clouds are going to do what they can, but one tank is still firing strong. And Heromarine, he is up doubling the supply of his opponent at this point here. So what more can Reynor do? He has lurkers, a hope, and a prayer. Vipers are powerful units, do not get me wrong, but it's 197 supply to 115. And now, oh, look at this Heromarine. He has the high ground. And what did we learn from episode 3? It's over, Reynor. I have the high ground. The natural will get killed off. The main base is under threat. There are ghosts on this high ground as well. The lurkers cannot approach. And Reynor coming to terms with the fact that he will be down 1-0 in this series rather soon. So it looks like a lurker counterattack will be the last-ditch effort of the Italian Stallion. But these lurkers will not make up for the fact that Reynor has lost his main, has lost his natural. The rest of Heromarines' army is going to knock out this 5th base. What I guess is the 3rd now. And, well, there we have it. GG! Heromarine, he takes game number 1. What a game there from Heromarine. He took that one decisive trade, the Doom drop into the main base, did incredibly well for him. He was able to just taking better and better and better trades, knocking off bases, and when you have more bases than the Zerg, it's not going to work out well for the Zerg player. We're going to put it at that. But of course, this is a best of 5. One game is a drop in the bucket. That being said, though, game 2 will be on Oxide. And Oxide is very much a Terran favored map. Not to say that that is what's going to happen here in this game, but there's a reason that we see Zergs ban Oxide in best of 3s in ZVT. Now, best of 5 is you're banning Submarine, because that's, you ban Submarine. But, well, for, of course, best of 3s, yeah, Oxide tends to get banned by Zergs against Terrans in particular. It's just a very good map. The rush distance between natural and natural, it's not all that slow. It's very short. But now we have game number 2. It is on Oxide. It's all loaded up. Let's go. Here we are, spawning in the upper right. In the red, he is representing Mouse Esports. He is the biggest of games. He is Heromarine. And his opponent in the bottom right, in the blue, representing Clash Esports from Italy, he is REYNOR. Alright, so game 1 we saw Heromarine take it late. He got his 4th base pretty quickly after getting his 3rd base. We did not see any, no 8-rack shenanigans, although that was he built something like 20 Hellions, I think, over the course of that game, and realistically did not get quite as much damage as he would have liked. Now, we took a look at the workers lost at about 8 minutes into the game, and he had killed 21 workers, which is not insignificant, but when it's, 3 there and 5 there after the Zerg is on 60 workers, a little bit less significant. Not nearly as powerful as getting 10 workers when the Zerg is on 40. I mean, that's simple statistics, right? 10 out of 60 is a lot less than 10 out of 40, right? 16% versus 25% in terms of an economic reduction. And the less economy you have, the longer it takes you to rebuild that economy. So it's this wonderful snowballing effect, but we did have a Marine first into a really quick factory even before the reactor in this game number 2. So it looks like Heromarine may wish to get a little bit more fancy in this game number 2. At the very least, put on a little bit more Hellion pressure earlier on in the game, because of course we saw no Reaper. That means there was more gas to get the factory faster, and we did not see, I mean, there was some dead production time between when the Marine was finished producing and when the reactor was completed, or reactor was started. So as such, we do see the oh, that's interesting. I really would have thought we would have seen the factory get dropped on top of the factory, but no, there we go. Third command center on the way. Pretty much the earliest possible timing, so never mind. Shows you what I know. This will be a rather greedy opening for Heromarine in this game number 1, and that does mean the Zerglings will try to sneak on in here, not get a lot done, but the scout is the important thing. And even more importantly than the Zerglings getting on into the natural and getting the scout there was drawing the Marines from the high ground, which meant that the Overlord could find its way on into the main base, see what was up, see the third base, and not suffer and not get killed off, which is a really nice move there from REYNOR, and he will be able to keep his Overlord alive, not get annoyingly supply blocked, and go from there. Alright, so now follow-up scout coming here from REYNOR. That 4-minute timing, that is so useful for the Zerg player. And we'll say, okay, Cloak's getting researched. I see Banshees. There's a tech lab on the factory. I know what's up here. Okay, Hellion Banshee. But this is the interesting thing. This is the novel thing. This is the slightly weird thing that Heromarine is doing with this format. As this is, it's not a 2-1-1. Of course, it's only one barracks, and there's a third base behind this. But he's just taking those first 6 Marines that he produced out of his barracks to keep himself safe, first 8 Marines that he produced to keep himself safe, and he's moving out on the map with them with those first couple Hellions. Now, do I expect him to do tons with this? Not really, not at this level, but it does force some more Zerglings. It does force the Queens to have to be a little bit more reactive, and it does mean that he is vulnerable to things like losing an Overlord, things like that, and it will add power to this incoming Hellion bit. Oh, okay. I did not notice that. I apologize. Heromarine doing something really cool in this game number 2. In fact, he showed the command center being built, but he canceled it. Instead went into 1-1-1 Hellion Banshee. So he was trying to sell this idea that he was going greedy as anything but behind this. Well, instead he was going to go a more aggressive option, but it looks like REYNOR is well prepared for things. Look at this. There's a drop warlord coming. Wait, is this how REYNOR once likes to hold this stuff? He just drop warlords the Hellion Marine part of this. Is that the plan? Oh, okay, never mind. I got really excited. No, he wanted an overseer, and instead he got a drop warlord. No big deal there. But, you know what? Man can be excited. We're not going to see any rogue, like, Pro League shenanigans, of course, you know. Shout out to Rogue, researching, Burrow Tech when you had to, or Drop Tech when you had to research it from the, from a hatchery, or I think it was from a lair. And, so he just gets a ton of dropper lords. And rains Bane Pain on an Immortal Sentry push. Against, I believe it was SOS in Pro League, which, you know, shout out to Pro League, rip Pro League. But anyway, now REYNOR here is going to make a little run by, and he will find this third base right as it finishes, which is some really nice information. Yeah, he's not going to get anything done off of this because no workers have been transferred. But he gets half damage on it, which may or may not get repaired, but he does see exactly when the command center gets taken. So that's some really nice information for him. It says, okay, well, you know what, I'm at 76 workers. I have a fourth base just about done. I'm adding onto that. I'm going to go up to about 80 odd workers here. And your third base just completed, which does mean, actually, he's going to cycle back in with those Zerglings and he's going to get 8 workers, really putting Heromarine in a rather dicey situation with a push that, yes, it's done a good job of cleaning off this creep, but there's not a lot of splash here. I mean, yeah, there's some Hellions, but you want more splash to deal with Ling Bane than, I mean, Hellions do absolutely nothing to Baneling tech. So now we have tanks. We'll find their way onto the map here, and there are 2 right now. Once again, this run by is just doing so much. 12 more workers do go down. We're going to see 13. And this is not a large commitment here of REYNOR, by the way. This is like, he's committed like 14 total lings to the run by, or to 2 run bys, maybe 28 lings. And he's getting so much work with it. But look at this. REYNOR, once again, either, I mean, there are 2 things he can do with this. Either, you know, kill off all the reinforcements, or he's setting it for a nice big surround here. That being said, though, his +1 Carapace is denied, and that's a big problem. Carapace is the most important upgrade that a Zerg can get in this matchup because you want your Banelings to be able to connect, and suddenly, Heromarine, this is the downside of this map. The rally between the Terran main and the Terran natural and your third base is really, really, really short. So both upgrades will get denied here. REYNOR is in a problematic position here in this game. As you see here, Marine, he's micros forward, micros backwards. There's not a whole lot of creep that REYNOR can use to actually figure out exactly where the army is, although there are a couple spots, I guess, that are nice. But once again, well, we're going to see this third base possibly just get targeted down. And of course, I mean, the big deal, there are no upgrades. It is 1-1 versus 0-0. It will be 2-2 versus 1-1, maybe even 2-2 versus 0-0 here. And that is such a problem. Yes, REYNOR can potentially fight, but when you have those upgrade deficits, especially with your Banelings when they're at that kind of upgrade deficit, when they do not have Carapace, it is so hard for them to make contact with the Terran army, and that is what you're trying to do. You're trying to get your Banelings right into the middle of the Terran army, but when it's +1 versus +0, +2 versus +0 even, you can't really get that, you really cannot make that contact, and that's a problem. Nice around there, though. Will force Heromarine back for the time being, but we continue to have rallies as REYNOR here only on 5 barracks, so Heromarine only on 5 barracks, but he is adding a second factor as he realizes that this is Hydra play going on into lurkers, and I like this. Looks like he's going to make use of that second factory a lot faster than he did in game number 1. Even if he did have those 2 factories from kind of the start of the game, we didn't see that double tank production all that much. And now we're going to have well, once again, REYNOR's going to try to take a fight, but there are tanks back below, or back on the high ground, and there are Widow Mines here as well. So this is just such a difficult area for REYNOR to really push on into, as he's getting kettled on into his side of the map. There's a kill zone that he's going to be forced to run through every time he tries to take an engagement, and that's just never going to really work out well for him. Look at this. We will have that 2-2 versus 0-0 upgrade timing window, which means that Heromarine can almost, I mean, not really, but he could almost let his opponent's Banelings crash on into him and not care. Which is, of course, not true, but it illustrates the point. We'll put it that way. So once again, we do have 1-1 on the way. It is now halfway done here for REYNOR. And REYNOR, he's now going to try to take this fight, but he's running through some just massive chokes. Now, this is going to be a really nice surround. And actually, a lot of the bio of Heromarine will get taken down, but it's not enough here. The Queens, they're firing. Queens don't do any sort of DPS, though. And a lot of them will get taken down, but look at the rally here. Yes, REYNOR is able to clear army number 1, but will he be able to clear army number 2? That is the issue. That is the question that we're looking at in this series, and I'm not convinced, as now we have Heromarine. He's going to shuffle on over to the right-hand side with tank support. With 2-2 versus 0-0, the army of REYNOR is just, it's paper. The army's paper. It doesn't do enough damage and does not, and it just receives too much. The Hydras are fighting, but you never want to just be pure Hydra versus bio. The Hydras are supposed to survive, and they're not. Of course, we will see drones getting pulled, but GG, Heromarine, he's going to put himself on match point. An incredibly impressive showing from our German Terran player. And truly it is. Going up 2-0 on REYNOR, that doesn't happen. But of course, again, it's the best of 5. We're going to have to see whether REYNOR can come back, whether he can take the next 2 games, take us to a game number 5. I'm personally rooting for that, not from any allegiance to any one player, but just I like game number 5s. They're very exciting. I like ultimate games in a series. But before we get to game number 5. We're first going to have to get our way through game number 3. So without further ado, let's get into it. Spawning in the upper left. In the red, representing Mouse Esports, from Germany with love, he is Heromarine. And his opponent in the bottom right, in the blue, he's back against the wall here in the grand finals of ESL Open Cup number 57. He's the one, the only. He's REYNOR. So 16, 18, 17 coming out from REYNOR. Once again, Reaper Expand is what it looks like here from Heromarine. I mean, he could do something crazy. And it will be a Marine first, actually. So we're going to see a Marine Expand, which could, of course, play into a really quick third command center. But as we saw in the previous game, does not necessarily have to be the case. Heromarine, he's got a couple rather aggressive openers out of this up his sleeve. And we're just going to have to see exactly what he can sell to REYNOR. So there we go. We will have Factory on the way after this. So functionally identical opening from Heromarine compared to game 2, as of course it is Factory before Reactor. And now we're gonna have to see whether he actually follows the build that he showed to REYNOR in game number 2, where he went for that quick third command center. But it looks like that will not be the case. And, oh, actually, you know, it is a little bit different here. Is of course, okay, it's going to be 1-1-1 off of this, just a Marine Expand. But we don't see the mass Marine production that we saw last game. We don't see those 8 Marines early to add additional pressure to the Hellion Banshee push. Instead, it's just going to be reactored Hellions immediately, which means faster Hellion power. But on the flip side, less Marines earlier on. And we do notice here, of course, Heromarine doing that thing that all good Terran players do, pulling the Mule off before it mines the last set of minerals. Because of course, mules have enough energy for N mines, N trips to the mineral patch, but N-1 trips to actually deliver those minerals. So, of course, what you want to do when the mule does not have enough time left to survive, you pull it off the mineral patch so it does not mine those, I think it's like 8 minerals or 10 minerals, I forget exactly how many minerals in mule mines, but so they don't take those minerals from the mineral patch, and then you just don't see the benefit of them. Now, REYNOR, he got a little bit bamboozled, or he got... I'm not going to say he suffered... Actually, if anything, he suffered from too much scouting in the last game, but he's not going to fall victim to that in this game here, as we do have Overlord speed done, and he will scout the Fusion Core. So he knows this is a battlecruiser opening, and we're going to have to see just how he decides to respond to that, and more importantly, how Heromarine decides to make use of that. Although 4... Was that only 2 Hellions? 4 Hellions. 4 drones, 4 Hellions. Yep. It's not bad for Heromarine, but he does give up some map control. So you win some, you lose some. So now, of course, we just have the Hellions. They're going to posture here on the edge of the map. Maybe do what they can to remove creep, but with the Queens out and with the Hellion count being rather small, it's going to be difficult for them to dive on top of creep tumors. But the more important thing, of course, is the fact that they are scouting units. They can see exactly, or try to see exactly what Reynor's up for. The fact that they see no roaches, they see it's mostly queen defense. To say, okay, I don't need to worry about a Banshee. I don't need to worry about canceling this battlecruiser and building a Banshee, dealing with any sort of thing like that. So it's going to be battlecruiser all the way, but I think we may only see one. Because, of course, this is a bio follow-up behind this. There we go, battlecruiser teleporting in behind the natural. And this is one of those maps that you can absolutely get away with doing the teleport to instead of teleport back, because you can just kind of hide behind the mineral lines here. Do your damage where you can, and pin some queens back, pin some static D back, just be annoying. Now, he will, of course, just kind of be forced to sit back here. Actually, no, this battlecruiser will be able to get on the way out, as there's just not enough queens here. Question is whether it gets any damage done. We will see a couple drones get targeted down. One worker goes down immediately. But that should be the extent of things, and the battlecruisers are expensive. This is not the type of damage that Heromarine is looking for. He wants to get more, do more than do a little bit of damage to some queens and kill one worker. That is, again, not the type of damage he's looking for. He cannot be satisfied with that. Of course, Reynor, he understands the type of game this is in. He knows that his opponent committed a lot of gas, a lot of minerals earlier on to get the battlecruiser and the tech that was required to get the battlecruiser. So, it's like, okay, let's get a fourth base. Let's keep droning up. I know my opponent does not really have any aggressive opportunity for the next solid minute as he's taking his fourth base. Or, excuse me, his third base. And all I got to do is make sure this battlecruiser doesn't do anything, which, with the amount of queens that I have, it's not going to be any big deal. And there we go, fifth base on the way here for Reynor. 1-1 on the way as well. And, of course, the one downside to what he's going for is this is a rather late layer. It's going to be done at around 650, which is not terrible, but it's certainly not the fastest layer, and it does mean that we will not see, we will most likely not see Spire attack in this game unless it goes really late. But there we go. Hydra's on the way, or Hydroden, excuse me, on the way. There's this double drop. We'll find a couple queens. One will go down, but again, not a whole lot. The big deal, though, of course, is the fact that this battlecruiser now has room to find its way on in. The defensive queens are so busy defending the attack at the front that they cannot really defend the attack at home. And there we go. Two more workers do go down. A queen almost dies. Nice pullback there from Reynor. And he's, after that, well, he just teleports home. He gets repaired. He does it all over again. But, of course, now we have a drop from Heromarine on up into the main base. And there's, okay, now we have Zerglings ready to defend. But, of course, it is 1-1. It is 1-1 versus 1-1. Alright, so now we have Heromarine going for actually a rather thorny siege up position. This is difficult for the Zerg to really dislodge, of course, with the tanks back here. It's not quite as annoying with their positioning. You can have put some a little bit closer. But now Zerglings and Banelings are going to go for this round, but Baneling's speed is not done. Okay, now it is, so he's going to be fine. Oh, this drop up. There's a lot of static defense here. So Heromarine, he's going to have to drop on the edge, which means one of these medevacs is actually just going to go down. There we go. But there we go. Nice Baneling connections will force the rest of it to go down. And this battlecruiser is just being a little bit annoying. It's going to deny mining at this fifth base for some time as we wait for Hydra to come out. Maybe Queens can go on and cycle over and defend this. But it's going to be annoying. It's going to cause issues for just a little bit of time. Of course, meanwhile, we do have this push from Heromarine on the right-hand side. And this is, of course, the scary thing. This battlecruiser is annoying, but it's never going to get inordinate damage unless Reynor absolutely ignores it. But this push from the right-hand side, and more importantly, this Doom drop. Oh, look at this, though. Reynor, he has more spores here in the main base. Well, that being said, though, it's not going to be a Doom drop into the main base. I really like this decision from Heromarine. He understands where the static defense is. And he says, well, you know what? You got all that in the third base. I can probably get something done outside of your fourth, but, well, Reynor will be quick to defend, but oh, this tank sitting here is so annoying. It can land such juicy shots on these Banelings here. And look, the battlecruiser is actually doing a lot of damage at this point. Queens are going down. Units are going down. He will be, of course, to defend this. We have a drop on the left-hand side. Heromarine, he's making all the right moves, but despite that, Reynor, he's on 100 workers. He is at a wonderful economic position. The only question is whether he can survive to make use of it. Because it is a trade-off. When you go for 198 odd workers, you don't necessarily have the army supply that you would normally have in a 80 worker economy. In a 60 worker economy, which realistically you kind of never want to have as a Zerg, but it happens. So you're looking to trade, and you're looking to never fight an army head-on, but instead make these exchanges before the Terran army is able to bring everything to bear. Or at the very least, you take the exchange back up, and your creep spread is allowing you to take those multiple fights, because you will never have nearly as much army supply, even if Lingbane on creep is one of the most supply-efficient compositions that you can have. Like we said, this battlecruiser is it teleported home, and it's back once again. This time it's fully healed, and once again, the Queens are getting absolutely eviscerated, but look at these Bailey connections. Raynor will force the pickup once again, but hey, now we're going to have a drop into the main base? No, we won't. Okay. Is Heromarine aware of this? Yeah, okay, he's aware of the static defense here.
We are at maximum supply.
Alright, look at this focus fire here from Heromarine. Now, it's not going to be enough because this is just the entire army from Raynor at this point, and he has gotten into this Lurker Tech a whole lot more sustainably than he did in the previous game. He has a solid 5 base economy. His upgrades are not in a position where they will just get immediately canceled. Now, the static defense is going to go down. I mean, static defense against 2-2, against 3-3 Terran Bio is not the best, but what it does do is it buys time. Look at all these lurkers burrowing on in here. They will be forced to retreat, and this is actually a rather problem. That's an expensive trade for the blue Zerg player. He doesn't want to lose these lurkers. It's about 300 gas per lurker, so that's expensive. And now we have Heromarine just going to stem on top of it. And he's maybe not going to take the best trade, but he just got 5 lurkers in exchange, so he's going to be pretty happy with that. Pretty much regardless of how many Marines he spent on that action. I apologize for that. I thought I had that tab muted. But it's fixed now. It looks like we have a drop. Yeah. Comes on into the 4. Oh, 10 workers go down. So, nice Widowmine drop going on into this 6 o'clock base. Oh, that Widowmine shot, though, got so many Banelings. And this is going to make them hold a little bit harder. Now, of course, there is more splash than just Banelings at this point in the game. Lurkers are powerful. They almost have burrow speed. But this 4th base is now coming under fire, and this is where things get a little bit problematic. As the gas will go down, we're going to see the base probably go down. Look at that Blinding Cloud was actually such an MVP Blinding Cloud. Yeah, the base will go down, though. And the Lurkers will be forced back because there's not a whole lot of anti-air here. Not really, not for Raynor. But look at this. This is the story of the last several minutes. This run by into the 3rd, into the natural here is getting so much damage done. That being said, though, 22 workers have died. So many Banelings, or the Widowmines are just doing such a good job here. Oh, 36 workers, excuse me. But what you got to remember is Raynor was sitting at about 100 workers, so losing 30 workers, he is still on 67. Which is maybe not exactly as high as he wants to be, as he's rebuilding them, but it's not the game over. Oh, I just lost 36 workers and I only had 60 and now I'm on 30 and oh god, this is going to be terrible. I mean, he still has a somewhat respectable economy here. Now the lurkers will burrow, but they're under Liberators, they're under a scan, they're under 2-2 bio. Will not exactly take the best trade. And Raynor, all of a sudden, he's taking these really not only rather inefficient trades. But this is the problem. Look at this the double Lurkerton coming up in the main base to allow, of course, more lurkers to more units to come out faster. But there's nothing in them at the moment. That Liberators will siege up on top of that, which means the lurker, whatever comes out of this, is really not going to be allowed to stay alive. But on the flip side, this has drawn army from Heromarine back. This has given Raynor maybe some leverage to go and kill off the 5th base of Heromarine. But Heromarine, for his part, is going to try to kill off the 5th base of Raynor, or the 4th base of Raynor as well. But look at these Banelings. Oh, the Widowmines are going to take some great shots. But it's going to be Widowmines for Zerglings. So not the end of the world. Now, another knight is coming up. This one has stuff in it, though. This is where it gets a little bit scary. What do we have in here? Just tons and tons of Zerglings. 2 3-lings, which pretty much have similar upgrades to the upgrades of Heromarines Bio because he's forgotten his +3 armor. Okay, yeah, they will just run on in and we'll be forced back. Alright, so once again we have the army of Heromarine. It's going to look to siege up here, but this is not a lot of air or ground army. It's just a lot of air army, and yeah, it's killing off eggs, and which is annoying. I mean, that's larva that REYNOR has decided to spend on whatever you spend, and not getting that's a bit annoying, but at the end of the day, he will be able to keep it alive, and Heromarine is only on 4 bases. Yes, he has a 5th orbital done, but he's only on 4 bases, and that's not the best thing you're looking for. Anyway, once again, we do have the Liberator siege up coming on up here, and Heromarine does not seem to be aware of the fact that he has skipped his +3 armor. Once again, Nidus is going to come on up, and the main base, I really like this. Oh, REYNOR's doing such a good job with these Overseers. Just, well, contaminating everything. Says, you don't really get to produce off your buildings in the late game. Sorry, friend. Now the Lurkers are going to burrow on forward. Hydras are just going to fight all of these Liberators, and Liberators, of course, will be forced to unburrow, or forced to unsiege with the Vipers. And now the supply is equalized once again. These the Liberator shots are still going to be powerful, but it is 0-2 Liberators. It's not 2-0, so Hydras can still kind of fight in that range. That being said, though, REYNOR does have to be a little bit careful. He will lose this 5th base, or 6th base, I guess. Granted, he does have, of course, the 212 or the 2-6 to collect base, and that's going to keep him going for the time being. But more importantly, he's going to take a nice surround here on the Terran Bio. But again, once Heromarine does have the high ground. I mean, this game is getting scrappy. So once again, we have a Nidus coming on in, as REYNOR looks to make it so really Heromarine has to keep stuff at home. He cannot just keep running his entire army across the map and trying to kill off bases, although he will get that one, so that's going to be nice for him. But yeah, this Nidus is not going to be allowed to go. But hey, it is forcing APM here from Heromarine. It's doing what he can to force APM, force attention, force keep some of the army at home, so REYNOR can just fight better. That being said, though, big run by coming on into this 3rd base here of Heromarine. And yes, there is defense at the 4th base. There's not defense at the 3rd. And are these cracklings? Not quite. So it's only +2 Zerglings, which are not terrible, but not amazing either. And they will, of course, struggle to get anything done now. They will find. Okay, actually, this is an orbital, not a planetary. So Zergling's actually going to get a decent amount of worker kills here. The goal, of course, is to get the mules. Not that there are too many fresh mules, but you get the mules. You get the SCVs, you just do so much economic damage. You make it so your opponent really can't mine, which is kind of what he's doing, because this is, what, 8, 9, 10 workers? So it would put Heromarine below 50 workers, granted. 10 out of... Oh, look at this Lurker run by. So Lurkers are here, and actually, if Heromarine is not careful, he will lose this base. And even if he does lift, he still may lose the bases. There are Hydras, they are here, and they are powerful. The question is whether REYNOR moves on into it. Looks like he won't, and now Liberators will siege up, which does mean these Lurkers... They're going to be in a little bit of trouble, but they're going to be fine. 6 more Lurkers are on the way, and Heromarine, he's looking for a desperate avenue to attack on in to kill his opponent, and I'm not really seeing it. He's lost 24 workers in the span of the last 30 seconds. Zergling's getting on top of things. Lurkers are going to burrow on up. We see Abducts on top of everything. GG REYNOR. He takes the game, and he's going to fight his way back on into the series. It's now 2-1. So what a game there from REYNOR. Fighting on the left, fighting on the right, fighting on the left and right, as he looks to force Heromarine back and take game number 3 in the late game. Now game number 4 will be Romanticide. And that's a fun one. Romanticide has probably given us some of our best TVZs as of recently. But now we're loaded into it. Let's get on in to game 4. Here we are spawning in the upper left. Into the red, up 2 games to 1. His tournament, on match point, on tournament point, on series point, in the red. He is. Heromarine. And his opponent in the bottom right and the blue. His back to the wall, his life on the line here in this tournament. He is REYNOR. Alright, so we've seen Heromarine for the last 3 games. I mean, yeah, okay. The Hellbat game, the Hellion game, he tried to be a little bit fancier, but in general, we've seen Heromarine go for somewhat of a economic focus in these games. He's gotten quick command centers. He has gotten into quick 4th bases rather quickly. We have seen no ARACs, nothing like that. He's just gone into late game pressure, played all over the map, and tried to slowly grind his opponent down. And he has been successful 2 of these 3 games. But the question now is, does he continue that trend? Does he go and take it to 4 bases, take it to 5 bases? Romanticide, you get 3 bases for free. Of course, 4th and 5th and 6th are a little bit harder to take with just how exposed they are. So there we go. Factory on the way, and we should see a 3rd base coming up from REYNOR in the next 4 or 5 supply. And, well, away we go. I'm really curious to see whether Heromarine goes for something a little bit weirder. I mean, he has a game to give still. And this is Romanticide. You can get away with some fun, some funky stuff there. Different attack paths. You can kind of hide some of the attacks you're going for. But, I mean, as well as you can in any game. But this is actually rather interesting. Look at this. REYNOR, he is taking the forward 3rd. And this is something that we've seen players start to do more and more. Players like Lambo and Laser absolutely love it. But the idea behind this is the fact that you get your creep spread early. You can have control over the middle of the map early. And when that happens, when that is the case, suddenly the tank pushes that happen that show up with these doodads right here, the tank pushes that show up right there are less powerful because you have had time to kill the rocks. You have had time to spread creep past that doodad, which means your Zerglings and your Banelings and whatever your army composition is can get past that. You can get on top of that rather quickly. You have vision of what's happening, and it just makes a lot of sense. Now, of course, it is more exposed. It is marginally more pushable, so it's a give and take. And generally, of course, the Zerg wants to expand away from where the Terran is. But in this case, this is one of those rare instances. There was another map. I'm forgetting the name of it. Simulacrum, I think it was, that also had a map. That also had a base like that, where you had the rich Vespian base that was forward, and you saw a lot of Zerg players taking that instead of the more defensive 3rd base, just because it allowed them to get creep spread into the middle of the map, into those pushable locations that the Terran would try to siege up on into. But now we have Hellion Banshee is coming up on the way here for Heromarine, as we should see a 3rd base getting started at some point as well. And so, yeah, we're seeing somewhat of an analog of the Lightshade game, which was the game number 2 game. That being said, though, of course, 8 Marines were not made early for this. So this is just your standard Hellion Banshee. This is not the more aggressive option that Heromarine opted to go for to try to make sure that he was able to get something done. And granted, he ended up winning the game, but I don't believe it was because of that Marine Hellion Banshee pressure. And look at this. REYNOR doing such a good job of targeting the Reaper down. But oh no, Heromarine, he is going to get one of these Queens, and that is so big. That is so much defensive utility loss. That is so much creep spread loss. That is so much map control loss. And even if he does lose the majority of the Hellions after that, that probably is worthwhile. So yes, 3 Hellions and a Reaper for 1 Queen. Does it make sense from an economic perspective? No, not really. But from a game tempo perspective, yeah, that's a wonderful move that Heromarine was able to effect there. As now we have the Banshees on the way. And you gotta remember, in games like this, killing off the queens, that's less defense. That is less things that can shoot a Banshee down. That is less DPS to the Banshee, even if they're even if the Banshee doesn't gauge on into it. It gives you just so much more flexibility. At the very least, it is so much less energy that Reynor has to bring to bear in terms of transfuses, in terms of creep spread, in terms of all of these things. Now the Banshees will fly their way on into the... Looks like they're going to go on into the naturals. They're... Okay, cleaning up some creep, that's a admirable move. That is a absolutely valuable move here. But now the Banshees will find a couple queens and will be forced back. And Reynor, for his part, is going for a different tech path. In this game, number 4, with his back against the wall, he goes for muted play, which is interesting because, I mean, game number 1, he did, of course, go for, game 3, he did go for High Drilling Bane, but, well, of course he can play both, but it's interesting that when he's sitting here, you know, you got something that works finally. And interesting he's deviating from that. But I guess it makes sense at the end of the day. You don't want your opponent to get too complacent against how you're playing. Oh, the Banshee will barely survive. Banshee on like 1 HP. Okay, 5 HP. 1 queen shot. Alright, so now we have Heromarine once again stimming on in here. This is a nice sieged up position, but look at how good this creep spread is from Reynor. It is so difficult for Heromarine to really get on into the heartland of the Zerg. It is so difficult for him to get on into any sort of actually powerful pushing position. And yes, these bridges are a position that Heromarine can stage on. But look at this, now the mutas, they're on the field. Oh no, Heromarine, he was targeting down his own command center for just a little bit of time. But now the bio's here, so he should be okay. But oh no. Look how much damage this... okay, it's going to get repaired, but... Orbital took like 1/3 of its health from friendly fire. That's not something you kind of want. That being said, though, of course, we can see here... Heromarine going for the Clem 8 racks, which is us. You see sometimes. Sometimes you see a little bit more... you see it a little bit more economic or a little bit greedier, I guess is the way to put it. Although I guess this is the most... I don't know. But however you want to talk about it. Where you get add-ons. But no, this is the... fastest possible 8 racks where you don't even get add-ons of those additional barracks. You just use them for 3 extra Marines at a time as you push on in. So you get up to about, I believe it's 13 Marines is I believe the number when you see this add-on 8 racks version. Look at this. So the mutas, they're going to short around, but a lot of their numbers have already died. 3 mutas have already died. Now we have a run by coming on in here. The wall is down. The Banelings are going to connect onto everything. And Reynor's going to try to see how much damage he can get done with this. He's already killed a decent amount of his opponent's army. But the army at the front, that is the scary thing. Reynor will lose his 5th base. The wonderful splits from Heromarine will keep most of this army alive. The tanks are sieging on up. And, well, this is kind of the kind of game that happens sometimes. It snowballs forward. There's just not enough. Reynor, he took the one fight and he was not able to sweep his opponent from the map, and yes, he got damage done with that run by. Yes, 19 workers did go down, but he loses his 3rd base, he loses his 4th, and yes, he has his 5th mining up here, but he's down on upgrades. He's down on economy. Yes, he has more workers, but you gotta remember, he just lost 2 bases. Well, I guess that makes him equal on bases with his opponent, but this is an 8 racks. This is all in here from Heromarine. He's kind of okay if he's on an economic parity with his opponent. But now we have Heromarine. He has breached the gap between the natural and what is now the 3rd base here of Reynor, and Reynor desperately spilling on in, making some really good connections on the back end with his Banelings, but it does not matter. That last Baneling's going to look to make whatever connection it can. The mutas are fighting with the Zerglings, and that is always a bad sign, and GG Heromarine. He's going to take the ESL Open Cup Europe number 57. 3-1. What a tour de force from the largest of Gabe's, as he adds another big Gabe Weekly to his trophy case.